I've spent 22 years as a game warden in the Cascades.
The forest only keeps its secrets as long as the ground stays frozen.
My name's Elias Thorne, and I've spent my career enforcing the silence.
I've seen things that'd turn a city dweller's hair white overnight. Nothing prepared me for what we found buried beneath the roots last autumn. We were looking for a missing survey crew, but it turned into a nightmare.
The Cascades aren't like the forests back east.
The trees are ancient, reaching up like gnarled fingers to claw at the fog. The silence is so heavy it feels like a physical weight against your chest. We were tracking the team in the Blackwood Basin, where even the wolves won't hunt. My partner, Miller, kept checking his compass. The needle was just spinning in slow, lazy circles. We ignored the omen until the earth gave way beneath our boots. It wasn't a normal cave-in. It was like the forest floor was a lid and something finally lifted it. We fell into a space that shouldn't have existed. It was a huge man-made chamber carved from obsidian. The air was freezing and smelled like ozone and rotting lilies. When I clicked on my light, I didn't see the survey team. I saw the villagers, 63 of them. They were sitting in perfect circles on the stone floor, backs to us. I thought they were statues at first. I reached out to touch a young woman's shoulder, expecting decay. Instead, it felt soft, like she died only minutes before. Miller started backing away, his radio crackling with weird static. It sounded like a human voice trying to mimic a bird. He didn't want to look, but I was drawn to the center of the circle. There was a ledger on a basalt pedestal. It was open with frantic, jagged handwriting. The last entry said the shadows learned how to breathe, and now they're teaching us how to stop. The realization hit me like a physical blow. These people hadn't been murdered. They'd been harvested. The room wasn't built for protection. It was for containment. As I stared at the ledger, the silence was broken. A soft, rhythmic thumping started to echo. It sounded just like a heartbeat coming from deep beneath our feet. Miller hissed at me to leave, his voice shaking. He was right. We were outsiders here. This place demanded a toll we weren't ready to pay. As we scrambled to climb out, I felt a hand brush my ankle. I didn't turn back. I couldn't. We clawed our way through the loose dirt and rotten wood. When we finally broke the surface, the sun was setting. The hole was gone. The earth had sealed itself shut, leaving only a patch of ferns. We didn't report it. How could we? We told them the team just got lost in the fog. We lied and burned our logs, but the silence followed me home. I found out later there were 64 people in that village. My hand was shaking when I realized the math. One of them had gotten out. Every time I see a hiker in the basin, I want to scream at them to turn back. I want to tell them the forest is a hungry thing. Some mysteries are sealed for a reason. The forest has a memory, and it doesn't forgive. Those 63 souls are still there, anchored by an ancient debt. That heartbeat I heard is getting louder every winter. The woods are calling, and they always find those who listen too closely. If you ever wander off the path, don't look for the source of the silence. Just run.
I don't go back to the basin anymore.
I stick to the paved roads and keep my eyes on the horizon. I just pray that the ground stays quiet. But the woods are calling. They always find a way to get to those who listen too closely.
It's like they're just waiting for someone to slip up.
If you ever find yourself wandering off the marked path, be careful.
If the birds stop singing and the air turns cold and smells like lilies, you're in trouble.
Don't look for the source of the silence.
Don't go searching for the history hidden under the roots.
Just run.
I've spent 22 years as a game warden in the Cascades.
I've learned the forest only keeps its secrets as long as the ground stays frozen.
There are places where the roads end and the cell service dies.
The ancient rules of the forest take over out there.
For centuries, the deep woods have hidden secrets that weren't meant to be found.
I'm the guy who knows what happens when you step over the line. Stay out of the Blackwood Basin.
Keep your light on the path. For your own life, never answer when the woods call your name.
The woods are calling, but you shouldn't answer. It's a trap, and there's no coming back.
I'm done with the basin.
I'm just a man trying to live with what I've seen.
I'm hoping the silence stays silent.
I sit in my cabin, the silence pressing against the windows.
The radio is off, but I still hear the static in my head.
I'd try to focus on my life, but the memories are always there.
Sometimes I wonder if I should have burned that ledger.
It feels like a tether to that dark chamber. I can almost feel the weight of it in my hands.
The forest outside my window seems to lean closer every night.
The trees are reaching toward the glass like they're trying to get inside.
I know it's just the wind, but it feels deliberate. I remember the way the villagers looked in that room.
They weren't dead, not in the way we understand it.
They were waiting for something, a silent, eternal vigil. Miller doesn't talk about it anymore.
We both agreed to bury the truth. Every time I see him, I see the same fear in his eyes.
I keep thinking about that 64th person.
The one who wasn't in the circle. Did they escape? Or were they the ones who let the shadows in? The heartbeat I heard beneath the ground is getting louder. It's a rhythm that pulses through the earth itself. I feel it in my chest, a reminder that the forest is alive. I see hikers on the trails, completely unaware of what lies beneath. I want to stop them, to tell them to run.
But I know they wouldn't believe me.
The forest is a hungry thing, and it doesn't forgive. It's been waiting for a century, and it's not going to stop. I just hope I'm not the one it decides to call. I'm done with the basin and its secrets.
I'm just a man trying to live with what I've seen.
But the woods are calling, and they always find those who listen.
I find myself walking the perimeter of the basin again.
The air here feels different, heavy with the scent of damp earth.
I keep my hand on my radio, though I know there's no one on the other end. Every shadow looks like a person standing still.
I know it's just my mind playing tricks, but the feeling of being watched is overwhelming. I reach the spot where the sinkhole used to be.
There's nothing left but ferns.
The ground is solid,
undisturbed, as if the earth never opened up at all.
I kneel down and touch the dirt. It's cold, damp, and completely firm.
I feel a strange sense of relief, but it's quickly replaced by a lingering dread.
I stand up and look around.
The trees seem to be closing in on me.
The fog is getting thicker, obscuring the path I came in on.
I hear a sound, a low, rhythmic thumping that echoes through the trees. It's the same heartbeat I heard in the chamber.
I start to walk, faster now, trying to put distance between me and that sound. The trees seem to shift as I pass,
Their branches reaching out like fingers. I don't look back. I just keep moving.
I finally reach the edge of the basin.
The trees thin out and light starts to return.
I'm safe for now, but I know the forest isn't done with me.
I walk back to my truck, my hands still shaking. I start the engine and drive away.
I need to get home and forget everything I've seen today.
But as I drive, I can still hear that heartbeat in the silence of the cab. It's a reminder that no matter how far I go, the forest is always there. I know deep down that I'll never truly be free of it. Back at my cabin, the silence is even louder than it was in the woods.
I sit at my kitchen table, staring at the wall, trying to convince myself that what I saw was just a hallucination.
But the memory of that heartbeat is etched into my mind, and I can't shake the feeling that something followed me home. I pull out my old logbook, the one I keep for official reports, and I hesitate. My hand hovers over the page, pen trembling, as I think about what to write.
If I tell the truth, they'll think I've finally lost my mind.
I decide to lie, just like I did before. I write that the survey team was found safe, that they just got turned around in the fog. It's a simple, clean lie, but as I write it, the ink seems to bleed into the paper. I close the logbook and push it away, feeling a sudden wave of nausea. I stand up and walk to the window, looking out into the dark, endless forest that surrounds my cabin. The trees look different tonight, more like sentinels standing guard over something I can't see. I see a flicker of light in the distance, deep within the trees. It's not a flashlight, and it's not a campfire. It's a soft, pulsing glow, like a dying ember, moving slowly through the underbrush. I grab my coat and my flashlight, knowing I shouldn't go out there, but I can't help myself. I have to know what's out there, what's calling to me from the darkness. I step out onto the porch, the cold air biting at my skin, and I start to walk toward the light. The forest is quiet, unnervingly so. There are no crickets, no wind, no rustling of leaves. It's as if the entire world has stopped to watch me walk into the trap. I reach the spot where I saw the light, but there's nothing there. Just a patch of moss and a few rotting logs. I feel a wave of frustration, but then I hear it again. A soft, rhythmic thumping coming from right beneath my feet. I drop to my knees and start digging, my hands clawing at the dirt. I don't care about the cold or the mud. I just need to know what's down there. I pull away a layer of rotting cedar, and for a second, I see it. A glimpse of something dark and metallic buried deep in the earth. I freeze, my hand hovering over the object. It's not metal, it's bone. A smooth, obsidian-like bone, carved with symbols I don't recognize. The thumping gets louder, faster, and I realize with a jolt of pure terror that I'm not digging into the earth. I'm digging into something that's alive. I scramble backward, my boots slipping on the wet moss. The ground beneath me is pulsing, like it's actually breathing. I gotta get out of here. My hands are shaking so bad. The trees seem to be shifting in the dark. Every shadow looks like it's reaching out for me. I can hear a low hum vibrating in my teeth. I'm at the edge of the basin, and my lungs are burning. I lean against a tree, but it feels freezing cold. My radio's still just giving me that weird bird-like static. The radio static stopped, and I heard a voice. It sounded just like me, but hollow and wrong. I dropped the radio and just let it go. I started running, just trying to get away from there. The trees are all blurring together in the fog. I can hear footsteps behind me, keeping pace with mine. I dove behind a log to hide. My heart is beating so fast, like a trapped bird. Everything's quiet again, but it feels like the woods are waiting. I peeked over the log, but I didn't see anything. I can feel eyes on me, watching from the shadows. I'm not just being hunted. I'm being herded. I stood up and started walking again, but I'm not running. It feels like I'm walking in my sleep. The path is leading me to a clearing I've never seen. There's a stone cairn in the middle of the clearing. It's covered in those same weird symbols. The air is freezing, and it smells like rotting lilies. I reached out to touch the stone. The thumping started again, and it's so loud. The ground is cracking, and I know I'm trapped. The ground just split open right beneath my feet. It's like the earth itself is trying to swallow me whole. I hit the bottom hard, but it wasn't dirt. It was stone, cold, and smooth. I grabbed my light and finally saw where I was. The walls were covered in thousands of tiny carved marks. Then I saw them, sitting in perfect circles. They looked like they were just waiting for something. I reached out to touch one of them. She felt soft, like she'd only just passed away. In the center of the room, there was a pedestal, and on it, an open ledger with fresh ink. I read the last entry in the book. It said the shadows were teaching them how to stop breathing. Then I heard it, a slow, rhythmic thumping. It sounded just like a heartbeat coming from the rock. I had to get out, but the way I came in was closing. The whole place was starting to shift and collapse. I was almost out when something grabbed my ankle. I didn't look back. I just kept climbing for my life. I finally break through the surface, gasping for air as I collapse onto the damp, mossy forest floor. My heart is racing, and I can still feel the phantom sensation of that cold grip on my ankle. I roll onto my back, staring up at the darkening canopy, trying to convince myself it was all a hallucination. I looked back at the spot where the hole had been, but there's nothing there. The earth has sealed itself shut, leaving only a patch of undisturbed ferns. It is as if the forest itself has erased the evidence of the nightmare I just crawled out of. We didn't report it. How could we? You don't tell the department that you found a century-old graveyard of people who were still waiting to wake up.
We told the supervisors that the survey team had simply gotten lost in the fog. We lied, and we burned our logs.
But the weight of that silence has followed me home.
I still hear that heartbeat when the wind hits the trees just right. It's a low, pulsing thrum.
It reminds me that the earth is not as solid as we like to believe.
I learned later, through old, dusty archives, that there were 64 people in Oakhaven.
64. My hand was still shaking as I realized the discrepancy. I had counted 63 bodies in that circle.
The math was simple, and it was devastating.
One of them had gotten out. Every time I see a new hiker walking the trails, I want to scream at them to turn back.
I want to tell them that the forest is a hungry thing.
Some mysteries are sealed for a reason.
We like to think that we are the masters of the wilderness. We think our technology and our laws keep us safe. But the truth is far more humbling. We are merely guests in a house that belongs to something much older. My career has been a long lesson in the art of looking away.
But I can no longer ignore the truth that stares back at me from the shadows.
The forest has a memory, and it doesn't forgive.
Those 63 souls are still there, anchored by an ancient debt.
The heartbeat I heard is getting louder every winter. I don't go back to the basin anymore.
I stay on the paved roads and pray the ground stays quiet.
But the woods are calling, and they find those who listen too closely.
If you ever wander off the path and the birds stop singing,
and the air turns cold and smells like rotting lilies, don't look for the silence. Just run. Because once the forest reveals its secrets, it expects you to become one of them.
I've spent 22 years as a warden in the Cascades.
And I've learned the forest only keeps secrets while the ground is frozen. There are places where the roads end and the cell service dies.
The deep woods have hidden secrets for centuries.
I'm the man who knows what happens when you step over the line.
Stay out of the Blackwood Basin.
Keep your light on the path. And for your own life, never answer when the woods call your name. The woods are calling, but you shouldn't answer.
I've spent 22 years as a warden in the Cascades.
I've learned the forest only keeps its secrets while the ground is frozen.
My name is Elias Thorne, and I've spent my career enforcing the silence. I've seen things that would turn your hair white overnight.
But nothing prepared me for what we found buried beneath the roots. We weren't looking for trouble. We were looking for a missing survey crew. The Cascades aren't like the forests of the East.
The trees are ancient, reaching up like gnarled fingers to claw at the fog.
The silence is so heavy, it feels like a weight against your chest. We were tracking the team in the Blackwood Basin. It's a place where even the wolves refuse to hunt.
My partner, Miller, kept looking at his compass.
The compass needle just started spinning in lazy circles. It was a bad sign, but we ignored it. The forest felt like it was holding its breath. Then the ground just gave way beneath us. It felt like a lid being lifted off the forest floor. We tumbled down into the dark. We landed in a strange man-made chamber. The air was freezing and smelled like rotting lilies.
I clicked on my light and saw something terrifying.
There were 63 people sitting in circles. They were perfectly preserved by the cold. At first, I thought they were just statues.
I reached out to touch one of them.
Her shoulder felt soft, like she just died. That's when the real fear set in.
Miller started backing away, looking terrified. His radio was making weird bird-like noises.
But I was drawn to the center of the room.
The ledger was open on the pedestal.
The ink looked fresh, and the handwriting was frantic.
It said the shadows had learned how to breathe.
It hit me then. They hadn't been murdered. They had been harvested. The walls were covered in thousands of tally marks.
Then I heard it, a soft, rhythmic thumping. It sounded like a heartbeat coming from the rock.
Miller hissed at me to get out of there.
We scrambled to climb out of the hole.
I felt a hand brush my ankle, but I didn't look back.
We clawed our way through the dirt to get out.
We finally broke the surface and rolled onto the mossy ground.
The sun was setting, casting long, twisted shadows across the basin.
The hole was gone, leaving only a patch of ferns where it had been.
We didn't report it. How could we?
You don't tell the department you found a century-old graveyard of people still waiting to wake up.
We told the bosses the survey team just got lost in the fog. We lied and burned our logs, but that silence has followed me home.
I still hear that heartbeat when the wind hits the trees. It's a low, pulsing thrum that reminds me the earth isn't as solid as we think.
I found old records that said there were 64 people in Oakhaven.
My hand was shaking when I realized the math didn't add up.
I only counted 63 bodies in that circle.
The math was simple and devastating.
One of them had gotten out, or maybe they were never inside at all.
Every time I see a hiker in the basin, I want to scream at them to turn back. The forest is a hungry thing, and some mysteries are sealed for a reason.
We like to think we're the masters of the wilderness. We think our tech and laws keep us safe from the dark corners of the world.
But the truth is way more humbling. We're just guests in a house that belongs to something much older and more patient.
My career has been a long lesson in the art of looking away. But I can't ignore the truth that stares back at me from the shadows. The forest has a memory, and it does not forgive.
Those 63 souls are still there, anchored to the earth by an ancient debt.
The heartbeat I heard beneath the ground is getting louder with every passing winter.
It's a constant rhythmic thrum that vibrates through the very soil of the basin. I sometimes wonder if the missing survey crew didn't just get lost.
Maybe they were invited in to fill the vacancy left by the one who left.
It's a terrifying thought that keeps me awake at night.
I don't go back to the basin anymore. I stay on the paved roads. I keep my eyes on the horizon, and I pray that the ground beneath my feet remains quiet. It's the only way I can keep my sanity. But the woods are calling, and they always have a way of finding those who listen too closely.
If you ever find yourself wandering off the marked path, you'll know what I mean.
The silence starts to feel heavy, like it's watching you.
If the birds stop singing and the air suddenly turns cold and smells like rotting lilies, Do not look for the source of the silence. Do not search for the history hidden beneath the roots.
Just run, because once the forest decides to reveal its secrets, it expects you to become one of them.
It's a trap that's been set for over a century.
You don't want to be the next one to fall into it.
I have spent 22 years as a game warden in the high-altitude reaches of the Cascades. I've learned that the forest only keeps its secrets as long as the ground remains frozen. It's a fragile piece. There are places in America where the paved roads end, the cell service dies, and the ancient rules of the forest take over. For centuries, the deep woods have hidden secrets that were never meant to be uncovered. I am the man who knows exactly what happens when you accidentally step over the line. Stay out of the Blackwood Basin. Keep your light on the path, and for the sake of your own life, never answer when the woods decide to call your name. The woods are calling, but you shouldn't answer. It's not worth the price you'll have to pay. Just keep walking and don't look back. The wind picks up, carrying a faint, unnatural sound. It's a low, mournful whistle echoing from the timber. I find myself gripping my radio, knowing no one's coming. I look down at my boots, expecting the ground to shift. The moss is still, but the memory feels like a fresh wound. I can't shake the feeling that the forest is watching me. Every shadow in the basin seems to stretch longer than it should. The light is fading fast, turning the greens into black. I need to get back to the truck before the darkness swallows the trail. I remember the ledger, the way the ink looked so fresh. It wasn't just a record, it was a warning written in desperation. I can still see those jagged letters in my mind's eye. The silence of the forest is heavy, almost suffocating. It's not the peaceful quiet of nature, but a tense, expectant stillness. It feels like the trees are holding their breath, waiting for me. I check my flashlight, the beam cutting a sharp line through the gloom. It's the only thing keeping the encroaching darkness at bay. I need to keep moving, keep the light steady, and never look back. The memory of that heartbeat still haunts me. It wasn't just a sound, it was a presence. It felt like the forest itself was alive, pulsing with energy. I wonder if the survey crew ever felt this same dread. Did they hear the heartbeat too before they vanished? I hope they didn't have to see what I saw. I'm almost at the edge of the basin now. The trees are thinning out, and I can see the road ahead. I just need to keep my pace and get out of here. I finally reach the truck, my breath hitching in my chest. I don't look back at the basin. I start the engine and drive, leaving the secrets behind. The engine hums like a lifeline against the silence. I keep my eyes on the road and refuse to look back. Every mile away from the basin feels like a victory. The station lights feel too bright and too clinical. I stare at the blank report form on my desk. My hands are still shaking from what I saw. I dug through the old archives I shouldn't have. The history of Oakhaven is written in fading ink. I'm looking for the name that doesn't fit. The math is simple, and it's devastating. 64 people were there, but I only saw 63. The thought that one is missing makes my skin crawl. I look out at the dark forest line. I can't go back, but the woods are calling. I feel a pulsing thrum deep in my bones. I try to focus on my daily patrols. Turn back! The forest is a hungry thing that needs to be left alone. The heartbeat beneath the ground is getting louder. I wonder if the survey crew was just another offering. It's a terrifying thought, but it makes sense. I thought we were masters of the wilderness. We're just guests in a house that's much older than us. I can't look away from the truth anymore. If the birds stop singing and the air turns cold, just run. Don't look for the source of the silence. Once the forest reveals its secrets, it expects you to stay. Stay out of the basin and keep your light on the path. Never answer when the woods call your name. Some mysteries are sealed for a reason.